All right, Shalom. Before I get started, I want to give all glory, honor, and praise to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rikar HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at GMS. Peace, honor, and respect to you brothers that's out there laboring, edifying, rightly dividing the word in truth and sincerity. And Shalom to you believers out there, Akim wa Akwatium. So right here, I was watching this video. It says, the title is it's from Epic Economist. And the title is Alert. They warn Americans to prepare for a depression more devastating than most people expect. And that's exactly what's gonna happen. All right. Because what we're about to see in this video is some of the things that's gonna lead up to what's coined Jacob's trouble. All right. All this is scriptural. All of these dominoes is falling to fulfill biblical prophecy, okay? And it's gonna get a lot worse before it get better, all right? Through much tribulation shall we enter the kingdom. Roughly paraphrasing, all right? So we got a little rocky road ahead, but hey, the Lord, is gonna watch over his elect, okay? And Lord willing, we be of that number, all right? We're prisoners of hope, and all we can do is hope and pray, and basically be obedient to the very best of our ability. All right, so I'm gonna play this video, and then I'm gonna be stopping it because I'm gonna be getting scriptures. All right, so if you just want to watch this video in its entirety without me interrupting, all right, then this the title. And here go the page you can watch it on. All right, but this video is for edification. All right, filtering everything that's said here through the scriptures. And Lord willing, it be edifying. All right.
Going now could be a very bad place. Got to get this act in order. We have to get this country going, or we're going to have a serious problem. Not recession. Recession's a nice word. We're going to have a much bigger problem than recession. We'll have a depression.
Former President Trump came.
And you hear what Trump said. All right. He said recession is a nice word. It's going to be a depression. And like I was saying, and depression is a nice word. All right. It's going to be all out hell. When you go to Daniel chapter 12, verse 1, what do it say? And at that time shall Michael, and Michael is a chief angel, all right, the archangel, shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. See, and Michael is set up to watch over the children of Israel. All right. He's the chief angel. This is how bad it's going to get. A depression is an understatement as well. All right. And there shall be a time of trouble. All right. See, what trouble? Let me back that up with a precept. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 7. At last, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble. And, if you're new, Jacob's trouble, Jacob name was changed to Israel. All right. And that's where you get us, the tribes, Israelites, because he had 12 sons. And those 12 sons are the progenitors, basically, of the 12 tribes that, okay. But Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. All right. And that's speaking of the elect. And Lord, like I said, Lord willing, we be a part of that number. So going back. All right. Oh, wait. Going back to Daniel 12 and verse 1. Continuing on, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered. See, every one that shall be found written in the book. All right. And this is what we fighting for, to be wrote in the book of life, man. To be a part of that number. All right. Because why? It's gonna be crazy. All right. And a lot of us gonna have to endure the craziness, but we're gonna be delivered. This is what the Lord is writing. So this is what's gonna happen. All right. But this video, is going to go into some things that's basically going to lead up to it. And Trump is speaking on it. Why is that? Because he can foresee. All right. He can see, he juiced in. All right. But he know about the numbers and the money and things of that nature. So he's seeing the decline. There's a lot of these, people are seeing the decline. Okay. But see, we know it's all scriptural. We know it through the scriptures, and that's the blessing. They seeing it from a carnal aspect. We're seeing it from a spiritual as well as a carnal aspect, okay? Because we can look at you got brothers and sisters that might be knowledgeable on financial things and, geopolitics and etc. But, hey, this is the highest knowledge conceivable. All right, the scriptures. All right, we already got the playbook. We know how it's going to end. All right.
Forward during a rally last week to warn that America's economy is going down the drain and is set to face a much bigger disaster than a typical downturn over the next couple of months. His forecasts came shortly before new official numbers showed that U.S. economic growth is declining for the second consecutive quarter, while consumer prices...
And see, another thing, matter of fact, while we speaking about Jacob's trouble, because you hear Trump and see, and this is going into the scriptures where, the powers shall be in fear. All right. When you go to 2nd Esdras, the 15th chapter, all right, starting at verse 14, it says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor their princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation." And see, all of this is leading up to it. And we can see a lot of these things is happening because, just think about what happened in Sri Lanka. All right, just think about what happened in what was that over there in the UK when they made the whole cabinet resigned and my man Boris Johnson, I believe, he was forced to resign as a president. And in Sri Lanka, they just kicked my man out. They like, no, you got to go. All right. See, that's the meaning of they shall not regard their kings nor princes. And see, these things are going to happen in America. OK, it's just that America is a great empire. It is that. So it's not going to be the first to crumble like all these other little smaller countries. OK, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. You got that happening right now. You had China's different cities in China being on lockdowns and can't leave the country and things of that nature. Okay, we're coming into these times. All right. And when this economy fully crash and all hell break loose, what's going to happen? Verse 19, "A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation," man. Now, when you jump over to the 16th chapter, I'm going to start at verse 1 and say, "Woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia. Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria. Gird up yourselves with cloth a sack, and hair bewail your children, and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand. A sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? A fire is sent among you, and who may quench it? Plagues are sent unto you, and what is he that may drive them away? And this is what the Lord is bringing, different type of plagues. As in ancient Egypt, so in spiritual Egypt. Okay? Verse 6, may any man drive away a hungry lion in the wood? Or may anyone quench the fire in stubble when it have begun to burn? May one turn away the arrow that is shot of a strong archer? The mighty Lord sendeth the plagues, and who is he that can drive them away? And the answer is no one. Okay? And this is gonna go into basically this video. Okay? This is what we're seeing. Okay? This is exactly what we're seeing. Verse 9, a fire shall go forth from his wrath, and who is he that may quench it? He shall cast lightnings, and who shall not fear? He shall thunder, and who shall not be afraid? The Lord shall threaten, and who shall not be utterly beaten to powder at his presence? See? This is what we coming into, man. This is this is it right here. Okay? I'm going to jump down to verse 17. Woe is me, who would deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings. This is what we're seeing, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear. You see, Trump, he's not doing that because he in fear deep down. He not saying those things because he's happy or he just, that's just something to say to win the presidency. No, he see what's going on with the country. Okay? It's politics, but at the same time, he see what's going on with the country, man. Okay? Continuing on, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague and tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things shall they not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. And see, you got 2/3 of our people that's in la-la land right now. They see these things happening, but they don't see. All right? People in general. Okay? Because, the way it is, okay? It's not just we wake up one day and then the price of chicken is $300 and the missiles going off and it's not going to happen. It's gradually. It's gradualism. This is why a lot of the people are blinded, okay? Because we can still do a lot of the things. We can still hit the grocery store, even though the food might be a little higher and products are higher. You can still move around if you want to. You can still book a flight to Miami and go party if you got the money. We can still live a normal life, even with, the pestilence and things that's going on here in the U.S. Really, we can still, if you got the money right now, you can go book a flight. You can get a good steak. You can drink some liquor, some good wine, whatever. And, it'd be all good, even though all of these things are happening. See, but that's the gradualism of the Lord. Okay? See? Verse 21, behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in a good case. And even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. See, it shall be growing. See, while you thinking it's all good, what happened? Evils are growing. These things are growing. Okay? Verse 22, for many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. See, this is what's happening. All right, these things that we're seeing, man. Verse 21 nailed it. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon the earth that they shall think themselves to be in a good case. And we know inflation is happening. This video is going to go into it, but at the same time, like I said, it's still that normalcy. All right, it's still that percentage of normalcy. that rock people to sleep. All right. Except for the elect. Okay. And I'm not saying I'm the elect. I'm hoping. All right. But what I'm saying is the elect is somewhere. And a lot of them is somewhere paying attention. And they're not asleep. Okay. They see what's going on. And even then shall evils grow upon earth gradually. See? Gradually that sword is being sharpened and is happening. Gradually the famine is happening. And great confusion. See? Because wow, one day, you could be hearing about the C-19, then it go away. The mask mandate gone, then it come back. Inflation, the gas at $5. Now it's back to normal. Then it go back up. See, and you got just a lot of people that's just confused out there, man. Okay? You got great confusion on all levels of evil. And that just, the scriptures is dead on. All right. And the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them, for the earth shall be wasted, and cities shall be cast down. This is the time we coming into. There shall be no man left to till the earth and to sow it. The trees shall give fruit, and who shall gather them? The grapes shall ripen, and who shall tread them? For all places shall be desolate of men, so that one man shall desire to see another and to hear his voice. For of a city there shall be 10 left, and 2 of the field which shall hide themselves in the thick groves and in the clefts of the rocks, man. This is the times that we are coming into. All right. Let me jump down to 33. It says, the virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. See? Women gonna be in a bad case. You can just read Isaiah 4:1. All right. There's other scriptures as well, but women is gonna be in a bad case, man. 34. In the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. See? And you can go over there to Ukraine right now, and you got some women that's living this right now. Okay? Even in Russia. All right. Verse 35, hear now these things and understand them, ye servants of the Lord. Right? The elect. Okay? So now let's go back to the video.
Reached the highest level in a generation, and Americans' purchasing power continues to shrink. At this point, there's no way to avoid another economic slump, and what is coming next is going to be even more devastating than most people expect. Experts say. In this video, we share Trump's ominous warnings about the future of the United States and some hard pieces of evidence that indicate his predictions might be right. Before moving on,
let me go back.
please
It was a point I wanted to
new
make.
official numbers showed that U.S. economic growth is declining for the second consecutive quarter, while consumer prices reached the highest level in a generation, and Americans' purchasing power continues to shrink.
All right. Now, you heard him say Americans' purchasing power continue to shrink. And see, that's going a lot of that because I want to make this point that money is not going to be your savior. Investing in Bitcoin and all of these things, these cardinal people think going to save them. Hey, that's not going to help you. Money is not going to help you. It's going to be worthless in the grand scheme. When all hell break loose and Jacob trouble, the dollar bill is not going to be good, but for nothing but to wipe your backside. Proverbs 11 and I'm going to start at 3. The integrity of the upright shall guide them, but perverseness of transgressors shall destroy them. Verse 4 and the point, riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness shall delivereth from death. And what did it say in Daniel 12 and 1? Okay. What did it say in Daniel 12 and 1? Let's go back. It says, And there, starting in the middle, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. At that time, thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found in the book, man. Everyone that shall be found in the book. Who's going to be found in the book? The elect. We know that. But the elect is what? The integrity of the upright shall guide them. They're going to be upright. What is that? Yashawan. Okay. Which is a nickname for, I believe, I could be wrong, Jerusalem, Israel, for Israel, a nickname for Israel, upright, Yashawan, okay, in the Hebrew. But the perverseness of transgressors shall destroy them, everybody that's not the elect. All right, riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivereth from death. See? So as time go on, the money is going to get weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker until it's just, you can just ball it up in a piece of paper and throw it. See what I'm saying?
Point. There's no way to avoid another economic slump, and what is coming next is going to be even more devastating than most people expect, experts say. In this video, we share Trump's ominous warnings about the future of the United States and some hard pieces of evidence that indicate his predictions might be right. Before moving on.
Now, they said his predictions, but we already know who predicted this. Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, okay? The Heavenly Father, okay? You see what I'm saying? Why is that? I want to make this point because Trump, he's predicting on a carnal level, but for us believers, we already know who really, I'm not even gonna say predicted, but who wrote it. We're reading the book of the king of the universe who created these scenarios, okay? Who created everything, man. When you go to Isaiah 46, now I'm going to start at verse 9. Remember the former things of old, for I am the Most High, and there is none else. I am the Most High, okay? And there is none like me, declaring the end from the beginning. See? Yahweh declared the end from the beginning, man. Continuing on, and from ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do my pleasure. See, this is the, this is, you know, we already know. See, this is why we can predict these things. This is why we can speak so boldly, because you have men that's been teaching, okay, years before Trump came on the scene. Okay, they was predicting these things, man. Why is that? Because they was reading the book of who? Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua, man. All right. Reading that book, okay? For I am the Most High, there is none like me. And when you got this book and the Lord bless you to come into this marvelous light and give you that comforter, that Holy Spirit, okay, which, you know, give you the understanding, which is the understanding basically, well then it could be 1953, okay, and you could predict this. You can say, oh, America's gonna go down, okay. Your money ain't gonna be nothing. The system gonna crash, okay. Russia gonna, you know, come up and you know, come against the West, okay? You can predict these things. I don't care if it was 1903, okay? If you had that comforter and you was reading out the scriptures, guess what? You already been predicting this, okay? That's why I say is men been teaching this for years and years, predicting Trump. You know, he's predicting right now. Because he see these things, but the scriptures have already been declared. Okay, the story have already been wrote. That's what I meant to say. Slakia, the story already been wrote. Verse 10, declaring the end from the beginning. All right. And from ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do my pleasure. All right, that's just the point I want to make.
Please don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the most important news.
Where we're going now could be a very bad place.
Former President Donald Trump stressed at a rally in Arizona last week. He emphasized that millions of Americans are seeing their real wages collapse as inflation continues to rise and eat a bigger share of workers' buying power. At the same time, worsening labor conditions have resulted in a historically depressed labor force participation rate. And the administration's current push for a Green New Deal is only going to accelerate our economic slump, given that the nation's critical energy supplies are dwindling.
We gotta get this act in order. We have to get this country going, or we're going to have a serious problem.
He alerted. In his view, calling the next downturn a recession is not enough to describe the difficulties we're all going to face, considering that virtually every sector of the economy is being hit by one disruption after the other. Trump argues that in economics...
And see, that's going, that's going back really into Second Esdras, the 16th chapter, okay? He said getting hit on every side, okay? That's because those plagues are sent from Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. All right.
Depression that will rival the Great Depression of the 1930s is ahead. And a few days after his speech, new official numbers were released, and they indicate that his forecasts might be spot on. On Friday, the Bureau of Economic Analysis released data showing that real U.S. GDP fell by an annualized 0.9% in the second quarter.
No. Let me go back real fast. Let me see.
Green New Deal is only going to accelerate our economic slump, given that the nation's critical energy supplies are dwindling.
We gotta get this act in order. We have to get this country going, or we're going to have a serious problem.
And see, wait, let me see if I passed it up.
Green New worsening labor conditions have resulted in collapse as inflation continues to rise and eat a bigger share of workers' buying power. At the same time, worsening labor conditions have resulted in a historically depressed labor force participation rate. And the administration's...
All right, and you see it say worker shortages, supply chains crisis, fuel 2022 top stage for business battle. And just recently, it was something that came out that a lot of Amazon workers got laid off. And another company, Amazon and... another company laid off a lot of workers, right? This is another point I want to make is when you go to Ecclesiastes chapter 12, and I'm going to start at verse 3, and it says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong man shall bow themselves. All right, see, that's them strong men. And the grinders cease because there are few, and those that look out the windows be darkened, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. This is what we're coming into. You listen, declaring the end from the beginning. All right, my counsel shall stand. What did we just read in Isaiah 46? Okay, continuing on, verse 4, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. See? And this is what's happening, man. The grinding is ceasing, man. Like I said, Amazon just laid off a lot of workers. That's a big company, okay? Now, I think it was like in one city, but I mean, just think about what happened ever since the C-19 came on the scene, okay? And now you got the monkey business, Okay, you never know how that's going to swing far as who. They can declare, they already declaring it a national threat, basically. All right. So you never know what's the next move, what they might do. Okay. And I don't believe the pestilence is over. I think you got the C-19, you got the monkey business. I think they're just going to keep coming. The plagues are not going to be slack. Okay. But as you can see, it's a worker shortage. All right. And we read that in Ecclesiastes 12:3. All right.
Current push for a Green New Deal is only going to accelerate our economic slump, given that the nation's critical energy supplies are dwindling.
We gotta get this act in order. We have to get this country going, or we're going to have a serious problem.
He alerted. In his view, calling the next downturn a recession is not enough to describe the difficulties we're all going to face, considering that virtually every sector of the economy is being hit by one disruption after the other. Trump argues that an economic depression that will rival the Great Depression of the 1930s is ahead. And a few days after his speech, new official numbers were released, and they indicate that his forecasts might be spot on. On Friday, the Bureau of Economic Analysis released data showing that real U.S. GDP fell by an annualized 0.9% in the second quarter after contracting 1.6% in the first.
And you see the GDP is basically the gross domestic product. All right, and then he going into it. And that's just basically I don't know if y'all can see that writing, but the definition of gross domestic product, okay, is basically, it represents the total of monetary value of all final goods and services produced and sold on the market, okay, within the country during a period of time, typically like a year, okay. And it's commonly used to measure the economic activity. And the GDP is basically like, say, if because it's going to the final goods and services produced. So like, say if you take some eggs, some flour, and some things of that nature, and you make a cake, well, the eggs and the flour and all of that the ingredients, that's not calculated in the GDP. The cake is, because that's the final goods that's being sold. Okay. But if you take some eggs and just scramble them and eat them, then that's how they measure that's measured into the GDP. All right. So it's the final goods and services. Okay. Just to give you an idea of what it is, just for edification's sake.
Quarter, two consecutive numbers were released, and they indicate that his forecasts might be spot on. On Friday, the Bureau of Economic Analysis released data showing that real U.S. GDP fell by an annualized 0.9% in the second quarter after contracting 1.6% in the first quarter. 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth are a common definition for a recession, although recessions in the United States are officially declared by a committee of economists at the National Bureau of Economic Research, using a broader definition than the 2-quarter rule, as explained by Tom Ozimek in a new article for the Epoch Times. However, Vance Ginn, the chief economist at the Texas Public Policy Foundation, told during an interview with the paper that while officially it's National Bureau of Economic Research that calls recessions, the 2-quarter rule is usually how it's done by a rule of thumb. I think this is definitely recession that we're in now from these bad policies. Ginn continues, blaming a series of irresponsible policies enacted by the White House and the federal government over the past couple of years.
While we are waiting for them to decide whether we are in a recession or not, let's just call it a banana.
Global investment strategist Ed Yardini wrote.
The Biden administration is arguing that positive employment statistics negate the 2 quarters of negative growth. So, the dating committee of the National Bureau of Economic Research probably won't make an official ruling about whether the U.S. is in recession for several months.
He noted. Yet, regardless of what the committee decides, the truth is that the U.S. economy is rapidly falling apart, and real personal income is shrinking more and more with each passing month. No wonder why so many experts believe things will get far worse as we move towards the end of the year. In his remarks, the former president also criticized the current government's handling of the economy, blaming the Democrat-controlled White House for soaring inflation and growing economic imbalances.
Biden created the worst inflation in 47 years. We're at 9.1%, but the actual number is much higher than that,
Trump emphasized. Even though he didn't share his own estimate for the true rate of inflation at the rally, an alternative CPI inflation measure developed by economist John Williams, calculated according to the same methodology used by the US government in the 1980s, indicates that the real rate of inflation right now is 17.3%. A 75-year high. Trump also highlighted that persistently high inflation, combined with a major economic slowdown, has put the country
on the verge of a devastating stagflationary downturn,
which is defined by the combination of accelerating prices and slowing economic growth.
Real wages are collapsing and we're on.
You see, he mentioned the stagflation. All right, that's stagflation. Yep. Like he said, it's the rate of high or increasing. The economic growth rate slows and the unemployment rate. All right, so basically, let's do this. Let's go back.
On the verge of a devastating stagflationary downturn,
which is defined by the combination of accelerating prices and slowing economic growth.
Real wages are collapsing and we're
so a slow rising inflation cost in a slow economic growth, man. All right, and this is all been declared in the heavens. All right, and I just been letting the video play. Okay.
On the verge of a devastating downturn. It's called stagflation. Look it up. It's not good.
Trump continued.
What I'm concerned about is that they keep talking about having some reversals. This could push us to a very bad place.
Inflation is
going higher and higher all the time,
he added, outlining that it's
costing families nearly $6,000 a year, bigger than any tax increase ever proposed other than the tax increase that they want to propose right now.
In Trump's first full month in office in February 2017, the headline Consumer Price Index, CPI, inflation measure was at a timid 2.8% in annual.
So I live in St. Louis. Carson lives in California.
We're so distant.
Terms. The highest inflation reading during his entire mandate was 2.9% in July 2018, and during his final month in office in January 2021, inflation clocked in at 1.4%. Since then, consumer prices shot up by almost 8% in nearly 2 years, and inflation levels continue to climb higher and higher, reaching figures not seen in more than 40 years. On top of all that, skyrocketing energy prices are making the situation much more complicated. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, soaring energy prices accounted for around half of the headline inflation figure. In his critical analysis of the federal government's policies, Trump singled out what he called
Biden's war on American energy
and said that the president is responsible for the unprecedented rise in gasoline prices. Since taking office, the Biden administration has taken a number of executive actions targeting the oil industry, including rescinding the Keystone XL pipeline permit, suspending new oil and gas drilling leases on federal lands and waters, and ending fossil fuel subsidies. The actions led the national price of a gallon of gasoline to shoot up over 100% from 2019 levels as the country faces a lack of refining capacity and the world grapples with the consequences of the Ukraine crisis. In a failed attempt to lower prices at the pump, the administration ordered the release of oil reserves from the National Strategic Reserve, effectively putting the nation's energy supplies at risk as inventories get tighter and tighter. Trump argued that these decisions left the United States in a very vulnerable position. Now we're literally begging other countries to pump more oil instead of trying to ramp up domestic production.
We have more liquid gold under our feet than any other country in the world. We're a nation that is consumed by the radical left's Green New Deal, yet everyone knows that the Green New Deal will lead to our destruction,
he said.
Just 2 years ago, we were energy independent. We were even energy dominant. The United States is now a beggar for energy.
The shortage of energy supplies is already slowing down manufacturing activity and contributing to the deterioration of the country's economic conditions. The term recession can be described as a broad-based weakness in the economy, and that's exactly what we're witnessing right now. Of course, Trump is not the only one who has recently warned about an impending depression in the U.S. Rich Dad, Poor Dad author Robert Kiyosaki has repeatedly warned about...
Now you hear, hey, you see Babylon is falling, man. All right. And you see that earlier in the video, it said like it's being hit on every side. All right. And that's because when you go back into Ecclesiasticus, no, Salakia. Go back to 2nd Esdras, the 16th chapter, all right? Starting at verse 37, it says, "Behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack, as when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son with 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb, which pains, when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment. Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side." All right. All right. You can't make this up. This is the word, the living word of the Heavenly Father, man. Okay. And his counsel will stand. Okay. And we see in prophecy jumping off of the pages right now. Okay. And this is another reason why people get rocked to sleep, because like I was saying earlier about how we're just not gonna wake up and then all hell is gonna break loose like in one day, everything just coming. No, it's gradually. When a woman have a baby, she might have little pains, then they get it increase as time go until she had that baby. Okay. That's how it happens. Even when you think about a pregnancy, a woman don't get pregnant and then wake up the next day and her belly is big, then the water break and she had a baby. No, at first you can't see it, then the stomach get a little big, then it get a little bit bigger, then it get bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, until it's time to have a baby. Gradually. Okay, this is the example that the Lord given us. Okay. As when a woman with a child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son with 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb, which pains, when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment. And that's another thing. They don't slack. Once she get to a point about to have a baby, them contractions hit. Bang, bang, bang. Okay? And best believe when all hell break loose, right now, we're in the midst of those pains, those contractions. Okay, they're kind of small right now compared to where they're gonna be, but guess what? In a minute, they're gonna be boom. They're gonna be hitting hard, and you know when a woman is really about to have a baby because she get to hollering. All right.
About an economic depression in the country, noting that stock bond and the real estate markets are crashing simultaneously. Last week, he predicted that inflation may lead to a greater depression. Even a top economic advisor to former President Barack Obama admitted that avoiding a recession at this point...
I don't get paid until next week. I got you. I'm Dave, and I can spot you up to $500 if you're...
Is unlikely. Larry Summers predicted that the odds are probably better than half that a recession would begin next year, although it could start much sooner. He also noted that Biden's administration is pursuing the least responsible fiscal macroeconomic policy we've had for the last 40 years. We're seeing an episode that I think differs both quantitatively and qualitatively from anything since Paul Volcker's days at the Fed, and it stands to reason that would lead to significant changes in expectations, he said, adding that preventing a recession with the inflation rate remaining well above 4%. The rate was 9.1% at the end of June, and the unemployment rate under 4% would be a feat that had never happened in the United States going back 70 years. Similarly, the chief global strategist at Euro-Pacific Capital, Peter Schiff, recently forecasted that America's recession would deepen in the third quarter. The expert explains that the only way to fix America's long-term fiscal problems is for Congress to start running balanced budgets, but neither Republicans nor Democrats have a plan to accomplish that task. The nation will probably suffer through a period of economic stagnation until it burns through the stimulus money. In a recent article published by The Trumpet,
You see, let me
news
go back.
will plan to accomplish that.
The only way to fix America's long-term physical problem is for Congress to start running balanced budgets, but neither Republicans nor Democrats have a plan to accomplish that task. The nation will probably suffer through a period of economic stagnation until it burns through the C-19 stimulus money. See, and why can't the Republicans nor Democrats, why they don't have a plan? And if they do, it's not going to work because it's been declared in the heavens for this place to go down. Okay? Matter of fact, it said the only way to fix it, no, Babylon will not be fixed. It won't be healed. And let's get it. When you go to the Lord counsel will stand, man. You gotta love the scriptures. Jeremiah 51 and starting at verse 8, it says what? Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain. If so be she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go, everyone into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies, man. See? Babylon will not be healed. Why? Because her sins then reached up to the sky, into the heavens, okay? Which is reiterated in Revelation 18 chapter, okay? See? Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed, okay? It's been already declared. That's why you can't fix this problem, okay? It's not going to be fixed with budgets and, plans from the left and the right side. No, none of that's going to work, man. Okay? It's declared for this place to go down from the Lord, and guess what? It's going to go down.
Task. The nation will probably suffer through a period of economic stagnation until it burns through the stimulus money. In a recent article published by The Trumpet, news analyst Andrew Miller cited an op-ed written by the late Herbert W. Armstrong, written over 46 years ago, about the threat of stagflation in America. The article, titled "What's Happening to the U.S. Standard of Living and Why?" addressed many of the country's economic woes during the Jimmy Carter administration. Back then, his warnings were largely ignored, and most people forgot about it once the Reagan administration temporarily stabilized the economy. Yet, as Miller highlighted,
now you see, they going into how the blessings of Abraham came to the United States. And when you go into the scriptures, okay, Esau was given the fatness of the earth from Isaac. All right. And when you go to Abraham, all right, but see, the thing about it was Abraham, he did have a blessing. Okay. He was, his promise was that his seed, okay, was going, many kings was going to come out his seed. But see, the thing about it is that it went from Abraham to Isaac and to Jacob. and fell upon the 12 sons. All right, see, they just going to Abraham. Now they going into the scriptures, but see, these are Edomites. So they never had a chance. Okay, because the perpetual kingdom, okay, is allotted to the children of Israel. Okay?
The article pointed out the root causes behind America's economic decline. Mr. Armstrong explained that God blessed America with the highest per capita income on the planet because of a promise he made.
And that's true. Like I said, the Edomites, they was given the sword. Esau was given the fatness of the earth. America did what it was set up to fulfill biblical prophecy. All right. That's why at one point America, the economy was banging. You know what I'm saying? Wouldn't nobody stand up against it? The military might of U.S. Now you just had China who threatened. You got Russia. They making bold. They let the weak say I'm strong. All right. But see, years ago, that wouldn't have happened. All right. Years ago, the economy was banging when Esau was in his heyday. Hey. Over here, who could stop them? But see, now all that is crumbling because, like I said, the children of Israel was allotted forever success, basically. Okay, starting with our Lord Yahweh Shah. All right, Esau wasn't granted a perpetual kingdom. He basically got a throwaway, and basically Esau is a throwaway weapon. Okay, that's why. This is going to crumble the way it's going to crumble.
To Abraham, he also warned that God would take away America's blessings if it rebelled. What have we done with these multitudes of national and individual blessings, which actually were the gift of the living God? Mr. Armstrong asked. God did not promise to continue the blessings if we rebelled. We have been rebellious and unwilling to yield to our God and his ways, which would have guaranteed lasting peace and prosperity. We have become arrogant and selfish.
And that's true. I mean, what he's saying is true, very true. But it's true for the children of Israel because the children of Israel was given the law, statutes, and commandments. All right. So Esau never was going to follow the law, statute, and commandments because they was never given it. All right. Because he's not talking about the children of Israel. He's talking about so-called white society, because the Israelites don't run America. Okay. Esau never got the laws. So they was doomed from the beginning. All right. That's the thing about it. But it's true. When you rebel against the Lord, you don't follow his ways, you doomed. And when you do follow his ways, you good. But really, it's for the children of Israel who were given the laws. Okay. We were given the law, statutes, and commandments to follow. This is why we were in captivity, different captivities. Okay?
We have polluted the fertile lands the living God gave us. We have polluted the air, the rivers, lakes, and oceans.
And that's true. Esau have polluted the air, the lakes, the river, the food. He weaponized everything. Why? Because his blessing is the sword. Okay? And that's according to what? Genesis, I believe the 27th chapter. Let me see. Let me just get it for edification's sake, just so I won't be misquoting. Let me go to Genesis 27. Go down. Let me see. Yep. Genesis 27 and 40. All right. And by thy sword shall thy live. Okay. See, and when you go to verse 41, it says, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand, then will I slay my brother Jacob. See? So Esau was given the blessing, because when you go up to verse 38, it says, and Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me even, me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above, and by thy sword shall thy live. All right, see? So that's Esau's blessing, but that was temporal, okay? I just wanted to get that for edification's sake.
We have polluted our own minds and those of our children. We have given public acceptance to the
And Esau, again, that's him. That what's being said is true. You know, Esau polluted the minds of their children and the people. Why is that? Because that's one of his ways of ruling is deceit, by deceit. Matter of fact, just for edification's sake. All right. I ain't really had this in the plans, but you know the spirit got to bring it out. Yep. Now, when you go into Revelation 20, verse 1, it says, And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and the great chain in his hand. And that angel was Yahushua. All right. And that bottomless pit was Europe. All right. And verse 2, and he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. And that's speaking about Esau, Edom. OK, this is when the Dark Ages started. OK, I believe the Byzantine Empire. And that's when Jake ruled in Europe. OK, verse 3, and cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal upon him that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years shall be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed a little season. See, and this is this little season right now, because they came back in power in the Renaissance period. And that's when you had iconoclasm. That's when they made, you know, our Lord white, the so-called white man. They made the all the men of the script of the Bible. They turned them into so-called white men. OK, that's called iconoclasm. OK, but see, he was set a seal because before that, in the Dark Ages, OK, they didn't have nothing going. They ain't had nothing going. See, and when you jump down to verse 7, it says, and when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. And that's when they came back in the Renaissance era. They started, you know, taking over. OK, they rose to power. And that's when they covered, they covered the paintings. They whitewashed them. OK, and then with other things they did. But see verse 8, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. But see, deception. OK, that's how Esau Edom ruled. That's why right now we pulling Esau's skirt down, basically. Pulling it down. Why? Because this word is going out and it's saying, no, you're not white. You're Esau. See?
Named New Morality, which is gross immorality. We have started on a course of destroying the home and family relationship, the foundation of any stable society. We have filled our lands with corruption. He wrote, most of the sins Mr. Armstrong cited are even more present in our society
and see,
today
everything
than
he's
46
saying,
years.
Everything he's saying is real, is true. All right. And let me see something.
Ago. But still, most leaders in America think they can solve all of our problems by spending more and more money, despite knowing that these policies create...
See, and that's, you know, let me go back to that. It says, we have, let me go back. We have given public acceptance to the misnamed new morality. Wait, let me go back up. It says, we have polluted the fertile lands the living power gave us. See? And what the Lord said, I should destroy them that destroy the earth. Okay? See? We have polluted the air, the rivers, lakes, and oceans. We have polluted our own minds and those of our children. Right. Why? Because Esau that deception, man. It goes back to Revelation 20. We have given public acceptance to misnamed new morality, which is gross immorality. You got to think about it. The LGB people is celebrated and protected. Okay, that's one thing. When clearly, what's that? Leviticus, the 20th chapter, tell you what should happen to him. That's why he's Satan, the devil. He's adverse to the scriptures. He take pork, he take things that's in a dietary law that you're not supposed to eat and make it a delicacy. Okay? We have started on a course of destroying the home and family relationships. See? That even go into them LGBT people. Okay? The woman is over the man. Okay? They put the woman out there like she's equal and like she's over the man. Not equal, just over the man. Okay? And that's why, think about it. The woman, she'd rather have a career than be a family and have a family. The foundation of any stable society. Right. We have filled our lands with corruption, he wrote. Right. And this is exactly why I'm going to just end out right here. When you go to Revelation, the 18th chapter, this is the end game. Okay. And after these, starting at verse 1. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all the nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And that wine is not talking about yayan. It's talking about the philosophies, the doctrine. Okay. See that pollution of the mind. See that, what he said, the pollution, that misnamed new morality, which is gross immortality. See, for all nations have drunk of that. That's why you can go in certain countries and you see the same thing that you see over here. I heard Tel Aviv over there in our land. Okay. They had the biggest GAY parade. Okay. Continuing on, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Yep. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. And that's speaking to you Israelites. Okay. For her sins have reached up into the heavens, and the Most High have remembered her iniquities. Okay. And I think that's what we read. What was that in Jeremiah 51? I think that was in Jeremiah. Wait, hold on. Yep, Jeremiah 51:9, when it says what? For her judgment reacheth into heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. See? So Revelation 18:5 again, for her sins have reached up into the heavens, and the Most High have remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works. In the cup which she hath filled to her double. How much she have glorified herself and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her. For she hath said in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore her plagues come in one day, death, mourning, and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. That's the missiles. 200 million to be exact. For strong is the Lord power who judgeth her, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise any more. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and dyed wood and all manner vessels of ivory and all manner vessels of most precious wood and of brass and iron and marble and cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men. And the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee. This is the end game. And all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. Right. Esau, Edom, never going to come back into rulership. The heathens never going to come back into rulership. And when the Lord is through with Babylon the Great, you ain't going to tell where California began and where New York end. You ain't going to be able to tell. Verse 15, the merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, and saying, alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught. 1 hour. And every shipmaster and all the company and ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city wherein we're made rich, all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness, for in 1 hour is she made desolate. See, this is the end game, man. All right. And see, this video just went into what? The beginning of sorrows. Okay. The beginning. We're at the beginning. All right. So I just wanted to bring this out, Lord willing. It was edifying. To the next lesson. Shalom.